So anti-ICE rioters in L.A. blocking the highway and setting fire to the city in protest of Trump's administration's illegal immigration crackdown.
Jonathan Hunt is live outside of the Metro Detention Center in downtown Los Angeles with the latest. Jonathan?
Ainsley, Lawrence, Brian, good morning to all of you once again. Yeah, we're outside the Metropolitan Detention Center right here in downtown LA. Still a very tense scene on the streets here. You can see the police cars lined up as they are at various intersections all around downtown LA right now as a result of what we have witnessed over the last few days. It all began, of course, on Friday with those ICE raids targeting illegal immigrants. That sparked the initial protests that we saw here. And then on Saturday, there was even more protest sparked by ICE activity in the city of Paramount. That's about 25 miles south of downtown LA. And with the protesters then clashing with federal agents, President Trump said he would call in the National Guard, federalizing members of the National Guard here in California and sending them to LA. By Sunday morning, they were on the streets of LA in their hundreds, and thousands of protesters turned out to greet them. That's when things turned, of course, extremely violent. We saw the American flag burned. We saw Waymo, which are the robo-taxis, the self-driving taxis that are a common sight on the streets of LA, set on fire, at least 3 of them, very close to the 101 freeway, which was completely shut down in both directions for a time because of those thousands of protesters. They were met with smoke grenades, tear gas, and some rubber bullet rounds fired by law enforcement. The LAPD was on scene heavily on Sunday, having been criticized for a slow response on Friday. And President Trump said, having sent the National Guard in here, he would be perfectly willing to send a lot more troops if necessary. Here's the president.
What is the bar for sending Marines?
What I think it is. I mean, if we see danger to our country and to our citizens, we'll be very, very strong in terms of law and order. It's about law and order.
Accuracy read on the people, sir. Secretary,
We got to see what we need. We'll send whatever we need to make sure there's law and order.
Now, California Governor Gavin Newsom wrote in protest to the president and also posted on X saying, quote, "I have formally requested the Trump administration rescind their unlawful deployment of troops in Los Angeles County and return them to my command." I think the answer we can safely say to that is going to be a flat no from President Trump. He, in fact, has indicated he is willing to keep the National Guard here and bolster their ranks for up to 60 days if he feels it is necessary. I can also tell you guys there is another protest plan to gather in Grand Park just a couple of blocks from where I am right now at 11 a.m. local time today. That's 2 p.m. Eastern time. So those protesters are not letting up either. This is going to remain an extremely tense situation on the streets of Los Angeles. Lawrence Ainsley, Brian?
Jonathan, any sense of how many of these protesters are illegals? Do you get the sense that this is
good question?
This is illegals trying to stay here, or do you think it's just people creating anarchy?
I think you have a complete mixture of all of those things. Frankly, Brian, I think a lot of illegal immigrants would not be showing up to these protests simply because of the danger they would face of arrest. I think what you have are a lot of supporters of those illegal immigrants, a lot of pro-immigration activists, and then, as the LAPD chief Jim McDonnell himself said, you have a lot of people who have very little to do with the cause of immigration, but are here simply because this is, in the words of the LAPD chief, what they do. They turn up for these protests and riots. They turned up for the George Floyd protests and riots. They've turned up for the anti-Wall Street protests and riots. And according to the police chief, they see a lot of the same faces turning up, organizing here, and according to the police chief, they are the ones engaging in most of the violence over the last few days, Brian.
Well, yeah, because there was never any consequences. Thanks, Jonathan. In 2020, they never got arrested. There was no criminal prosecution.
They were applauded.
Exactly. So you got the same people showing up to every movement with the keffiyehs, yet again, the same people that mark it in the middle of the street. You got the COVID masks that are on as well. And they say they're afraid of the police, remember, but they're throwing bricks at them. They're setting stuff on fire. This doesn't look like people that are afraid of the police. These are people that feel empowered. This is why the president has to crack down and deal with it. Gavin Newsom has had years to deal with these people, and they've been free to do whatever they want. And now the hammer is being dropped.
Well, it's the Democrats that have demonized ICE agents, called them fascists. And so the individuals hear that, they go out and protest. It doesn't make sense. You would think that the governor would want federal agents or troops, National Guard, to be sent in to help his police officers, because the LA police chief said we're overwhelmed. They're using cinder blocks and hammers. They're throwing these at our cars and at our police officers. That we've even had liquid, who knows what, thrown at our officers. They shut down the 101 freeway. You can't do that.
Meanwhile, it's become mini Mexico. That's why the flags, these people are proud of it. They don't understand that it's hurting their cause, but they're not thinking about that.
And now Gavin Newsom wants to sue Donald Trump.
Right.
That's supposed to come down today.
And he's trying to stop, he's trying to stop the whole presence of the National Guard.
So violent anti-ICE protests raging across L.A., burning U.S. flags, setting cars on fire, and throwing rocks at the police to protest the arrest of illegal migrants, including child abuse and murder suspects. But California Democrats like Kamala Harris, Mayor Karen Bass, and Governor Newsom are blaming the Trump administration for the chaos. Borders our Tom Holman joins us now. So, Tom, you've been leading these operations. And so instead of criticizing the people that are attacking our agents, you got Gavin Newsom, who has called for you to arrest him, and you got Maxine Waters, who is going after the National Guard. Watch this.
He's a tough guy. Why doesn't he do that? He knows where to find me. The hell is this guy? Come after me, arrest me. Let's just get it over with. Tough guy. You know, I don't give a damn, but I care about my community. And I'm sorry to be so clear, but that kind of bloviating is exhausting. So, Tom, arrest me.
What are you going to do? You going to shoot some kid? He's afraid of you and run? You going to shoot an elected official? If you shoot me, you better shoot straight. I don't know why you're in my city. You did. The governor was not contacted.
Tom, what's your response?
Well, first of all, it's just ridiculous. That reporter from SMBC, he's a joke. He's a dishonest reporter. What we discussed was, for those protesters that cross the line, I've said it many times, you can protest, you get your First Amendment rights. But when you cross that line, you put hands on an ICE officer, or you destroy property, or I say that you're impede law enforcement, or you're knowingly harboring, concealing illegal alien, that's a crime. And the Trump administration is not going to tolerate it. You cross that line, we're going to seek prosecution in the Department of Justice. Then the reporter asked me, well, could Governor Newsom or Mayor Bass be arrested? I said, well, no one's above the law. If they cross the line and commit a crime, absolutely they can. So there was no discussion about arresting Newsom. And so, you know, what he's done, he's failed that state. He waited 2 days of that city burning and people getting hurt, officers being assaulted, before he made any declaration of an unlawful assembly. He's late to the game. President Trump isn't late to the game. Men and women of ICE are not late to the game. And let's make this clear. I keep hearing this term ICE raids, ICE raids. What happened with how this riot started is that ICE was serving a series of criminal warrants at a business being investigated for money laundering, customs fraud, and serious violations on sending money to criminal cartels that in Colombia and Mexico that fund criminal cartel activities in the United States. It's a part of an overall conspiracy that ICE is investigating. So we're arresting bad people. We were enforcing laws and following up on a serious criminal investigation on cartel financing. So that's exactly what ICE did. And ICE took a lot of bad people off the street that day. We arrested a sexual predator, arrested gang members, arrested somebody that had an armed robbery conviction. So we made L.A. safer. The men and women at ICE, the men and women at the Border Patrol made L.A. safer that day. But you're not hearing any of this. All you hear is a rhetoric about ICE being racist, about ICE being Nazis and terrorists. And Governor Newsom feeds that. Just like Hakeem Jeffrey feeds it, that he's going to unmask ICE agents. And the members of Congress who keep feeding this rhetoric, they're the ones that are causing this riot, because they don't listen to the truth about what the men and women at ICE are doing. We're keeping our promise to American people to make these streets safe again. And that's exactly what we're going to do, and we're not going to stop doing it.
Tom, who gave the stand-down order from the LAPD? When your federal agents were being surrounded, and you know the call, you were a local cop before you were a federal agent. When a cop says officer assist across the radio that they're surrounded, everyone in the surrounding area is supposed to respond. So who told the LA cops not to respond?
Well, the LA police chief, he works for the mayor of Los Angeles. That's Karen Bass. And they were delayed. They were very delayed in responding to the call for assistance. Like I was here, and it had over 1,000 protesters at the federal building trying, and they breached it several times. Luckily, they were able to push them back, and that put the officers at great risk. It put the detainees that we had in custody at great risk. So again, this is just a false narrative being pushed by the left and being pushed by even members of Congress about the men and women of ICE being Nazis and terrorists, and that we're out arresting innocent women and children. Everybody we arrested, everybody we're looking for, they got final order removal. They've had the due process. That's what they keep shouting about. They demand due process. They had the due process. A judge, a federal judge, has ordered them removed. Our job is to execute that order, right? So you got Congress who made the laws that we're following. You have a judge that orders them removed. So we're executing removal orders. ICE is doing the job that American people want them to do. We're making America safe again, one illegal criminal at a time, and that's what we're doing in LA.
So, Tom, the travel ban is set to go into effect today. Over a dozen countries are on that list, including Venezuelan nationals. Tell me about this travel ban. What is it going to do to stop the travel coming across this country to illegal immigrants?
Yeah, before I got that, let me just mention this. You know, God bless President Trump for sending the National Guard. The National Guard here to protect property, protect life, protect our officers, and protect civilians. You've seen the video. This city's burning. It's out of control because of the weak leadership of Democrats here in the state and frankly, in the United States Congress. So I salute President Trump for sending the National Guard to protect life and property. And the travel ban is exactly what it should be doing. In the countries that are being targeted on this, do not do proper vetting before the issue visas come to this country. This is about protecting America, right? We spent 4 years, got over 2 million known gotaways. How many of them came from a terrorist a country that sponsors terrorism? We don't know. President Trump has taken every step possible to protect this nation from a terrorist attack and from other criminal activity that crosses our border and comes into the visa program. So this is simply making these countries step up and doing the right thing. When you send someone and give someone a visa and they enter the United States, we want proper vetting done before they come here. That's what this is about.
Tom, I got only a few seconds left, but I got to get your reaction to Kilmar Obrego Garcia. They wanted him back. They got him back, but he's been indicted on 2 counts. 1 count of conspiracy of unlawful transport of illegal alien for financial gain, maximum imprisonment, 10 years. You got count 2, unlawful transportation of an illegal alien for financial gain. How serious are these charges, real quick?
They're real serious, and we're going to bring back, we're going to criminally prosecute him, we're going to put him in prison. And when he gets done with his prison sentence, he can be deported right back to his homeland.
Tom Homan, thank you so much.